So in today's video, we're gonna take a look at creating this with Twinmotion and Rhino. Just before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Twinmotion is one of the world's fastest real-time rendering engine. We have a special link in the description that allows all Rhino users to get professional license for free. For a limited time only, Twinmotion also provides free unlimited trial, so make sure to check out the link in the description if you haven't already. So here's a fresh Rhino model that I've been working on. This is a large landscape project and we're gonna use Twinmotion to dress it up a little bit. So follow the link in the description to go to this page. Since I'm using Windows, I'll be downloading the Windows version. And the installation process is actually quite straightforward. If you haven't installed Twinmotion yet, make sure to check out our previous video linked in the top right corner so that you can come back to this video afterwards. So number one is the synchronization plugin. Once you have the Rhino plugin installed, you can go right click on the toolbar, go to show toolbar, and go all the way down to find the Twinmotion direct link plugin. Once you enable it, you'll see this little pop-up that floats around like a regular toolbar. You can either dock it into your toolbar just like that, or keep it floating just like this. Once that's ready, you can click on the eye icon, which is the first one, to synchronize your model with Twinmotion. So if Twinmotion is not open yet, this command will open up your current version of Twinmotion and upload that information into Twinmotion user interface. Now, if you're opening up a Rhino file in Twinmotion for the first time, you can simply choose new project. And if you've been working on a certain project on Twinmotion already, then you would choose existing projects to continue adding on to your previous one. For our example, we're opening this Rhino model in Twinmotion for the first time, so we will choose new project. It'll take a minute to export all the files, and when that is ready, we are able to see our Rhino model in Twinmotion in full glory just like that. Now what's really cool about this synchronization feature is that any kind of changes that you make in Rhino can be reflected immediately in Twinmotion. So let's, for example, move this house over just a little bit. Maybe this isn't exactly where we want it to be. So I will move it out of the path just a little bit like that. And then maybe just for demonstration purpose, maybe we can delete this for a second. Now once you have made all the changes, you can click on the synchronize button again. And within a moment, you'll see that your model in Twinmotion has been updated. So you can see the little dock is missing, and the house over here has moved away from the path. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo these changes to bring back the original design. There we go. And then I will synchronize again. So we're back to the beginning. So feel free to go back and forth and change up as you need it. Alright, so once your scene is ready, you are ready to move on to populating it. The second tip involves mass placing various objects into your scene. So first object that we want to look at is trees. What's really great about Twinmotion is that it comes pre-packed with all these beautiful assets. So you can see if we zoom in a little bit, you can see how much detail is involved in every single model. And you can customize your growth, age, and almost everything about it. So for example, you can adjust the age by sliding the slider. And as you can see, depending on the age, you can see that the size of the crown, number of branches, size of the leaves totally changes. So you can customize them to fit exact need. And not only are they intricately modeled, they also respond to different parameters such as your season and wind settings on your scene. So with that being said, let's take a look at how we can populate them. Alright, so let's get started with populating our scene. For starters, I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the grass texture right here. So let's go over to our library, material, ground, and let's head over to nature and add some grass to it. Just gonna go ahead and choose grass number 5. Once that is ready, I'm gonna go ahead and start painting in some slightly more detailed grass. So let's head over to material paint in the bottom right side here. And we're gonna, vegetation paint. And then let's go over and choose some grass and flowers. I want to add some, let's see what I want to add. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and add some dry grass, clovers, and some various kind of weeds. And once you have your collection of vegetations ready, click on the brush tool to start painting in. Just like that. Now it's a little bit hard to see right now, but if we zoom into it, you can see that Twinmotion has added these beautiful grass to your scene. Now sometimes when you zoom out a little bit further, Twinmotion kind of delegates to show only the relevant part. You don't have to worry too much, because when you are actually rendering them, Twinmotion will accurately calculate how they will look in any distance. So once that is ready, I'm going to go ahead and add some trees. Now what I like to do when I'm adding trees is that just choose let's say a couple of trees, but add them in different sizes. So as you can see, we're having two different horse chestnuts here, but why don't we make one of them slightly younger? Let's say this age is going to be 20%. And for the first horse chestnut tree, we will increase the age to about 65%. Now once that is ready, we can start painting it and see what that effect is. Now as you can see, some trees are bigger and other trees are smaller, just exactly according to how we have configured them. And what's really cool about Twinmotion's vegetation paint is that you can always edit them retroactively. So for example, right now I think the small tree looks fine, but the big tree looks a little bit too big. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust them. As you can see, the existing trees that we have already painted are adjusted dynamically. Another thing that we can do is that if we want to increase the younger trees density, we can do it right here as well on the existing painted areas. And another cool trick is that if you want to add more variety to your scene, then you can of course drag in a different kind of tree and it'll immediately update your scene with that added. With these tools in mind, let's go ahead and make our scene a little bit more pretty. Oh, and by the way, if you want to change how the background looks, you can go over to your settings tab and go over to location and choose background. You can choose from variety of options. Why don't we go ahead and choose countryside for this one and say OK. And of course you can rotate them around to suit your project location. So from here, we're gonna pick up on using the brush tool to populate our scene really quickly. And feel free to adjust the diameter and density of your scene to make sure it fits your project. Now of course, when you make any mistake or if the tree falls out of where you want them to be, you can always take the eraser tool and start erasing the parts that you don't want. Like so. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's gonna quickly move on to different parts of our project. Honestly, it becomes quite a therapeutic process, and you can add trees super quickly, just like that. And it looks so natural. Everything is controlled parametrically, but also randomized enough so that it adds organic look. Wow, look at that. We've added this many trees in just a few moments. Our scene already looks a lot more green than what we have started with. Alright, let me just populate just a little bit more. Fill in some blanks. Make sure to customize your scene just the way you like them. And whenever you're ready, you can always hit the escape key to reset your selection. Alright, I think that looks pretty good for our vegetation painting. And of course, adding texture is super simple. You just have to simply drag and drop different kinds of materials from the library into the parts of the model that you want to apply. So for example, I want to go ahead and add clear glass to the glassy area right here. And why don't we add some pavings to the walkways? Go ahead, find some stones. Actually, better yet, we should go down to ground material, man-made, and find appropriate material. Okay, that looks pretty good for me. Go ahead and apply to that. Apply cobblestone to this texture. And of course, asphalt to our road texture right there. And you can continue to experiment with this process. But for today, we're gonna go ahead and apply some default materials. In our future videos, we will also talk about how to customize materials, so make sure to stay tuned if you're interested. Alright, I think we are getting there. But there is one big thing that's missing right now, and that is our context. And Twinmotion has a perfect tool just for that. Let's go down to the Context tab and go to Urban. And you'll be presented with this little map, and you can search the project location for you. This project is based in Ottawa, so I'm gonna go ahead and search for Ottawa, Canada, and zoom out and move around to find out exactly where our project is located. Alright, once you found your project location, click on the zoom to capture option and fine-tune your location in order to capture your context. Once you have targeted the right area, click on the grab button for Twinmotion to go out and fetch accurate terrain and building data to suit your project. Alright, context has been imported, but it seems to be in a different orientation from our Rhino model. Since we cannot move Rhino model from Twinmotion, we're gonna go ahead and rotate our context model. Let's open up the Scene Graph tab from the right corner. And then let's fold away, close the folder for Rhino model, and click on the entire context folder. This allows you to select all the buildings and context geometries and move them around and place them in the correct position. So in fact, it should be oriented in this way, and then oriented just a little bit more, just like that. It's quite pseudo-scientific, but as you can see, you get the effect pretty quickly. Now, there's a slight problem right now. There's a couple geometries that are overlapping. So for example, this black building has been imported from Rhino, and we might only want to keep one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the Rhino geometry. So even though you cannot really rotate, move, or transform Rhino geometry, you can always hide them from Twinmotion without affecting the actual Rhino model. I'm going to go ahead and do that again with the building in the back. Click on the building, and that automatically selects that model from the scene graph. And I'll simply click on the eye icon to hide the Rhino version and keep the Twinmotion's imported geometry. And for Twinmotion's geometry, what's really nice is that you can always move them around just like that to fine-tune the look that you want to achieve. Alright, that looks pretty good. And a couple other things is that this ground geometry is not necessary, so I'll go ahead and delete it. My goodness, that already looks pretty good. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to do. I'm just gonna make sure that this geometry gets bigger to cover the whole periphery of our scene. So I'm gonna switch back to Rhino and adjust that a little bit. It's a simple plane, so I'm gonna go ahead and scale it up just like that. And then click on the eye icon to synchronize. And this again shows you how powerful this synchronize feature is. Just with a click of a button, as you can see, all the information about Twinmotion is maintained, and the geometry simply gets updated. I'm gonna go ahead and save this just in case anything happens. And what might be a little bit tricky in the beginning is that Twinmotion file is actually a separate file. So you have to keep track of the Rhino file as well as the corresponding Twinmotion file. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now we're gonna go ahead and add some people using a character path. If you want to learn more about it, make sure to let us know in the comments. We would love to cover it in our future videos. But for today, we're gonna skip over this really quickly and get to our next and final part of our video. Alright, so we have a beautiful scene ready, and there is one last step left to turn this into a shareable reality. And to do that, we're gonna show you how to use Presenter. Presenter is a special way of sharing your Twinmotion file with others. Aside from the conventional image, panorama, video, Presenter allows you to kind of package them together into a nice curated set of experience. So let's see how we can do that. So before we get to presenters, we have to prepare a certain slides. So first off, I'm going to create a couple images to show. So maybe a first image can be down our main axis right here. Let's create an image right there. Now let's create another image. Let's say, Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly create some views around the scene and create an animation as well. We're gonna be making a separate tutorial about creating animation within Twinmotion, so if you're interested, make sure to stay tuned and we'll pick up from there. But for now, we'll quickly fast forward this part because our tutorial is already becoming pretty long. And we will go ahead and customize a couple images differently. So for example, for this overlook, why don't we go ahead and change up the season just a little bit. So what's really cool about Twinmotion's images is that you can independently set up a setting for the views. So for example, for this view specifically, we want to make it let's say, make it into an evening time just like that. Turn it into a different time of the year. And as you can see, this view maintains this specific look of the time of the day and the lighting and all. And if we go back to a different image, you can see that we are back to what we started with. Why don't we go ahead and customize this view as well? Let's give us a more season to it. Turn this into a autumn look. As you can see, all your trees and background reacts dynamically to the settings that you've given. And you can also adjust a view-specific growth parameters. For this one, we can make the weather just a little bit more gloomy as well. And you can see that the ground has this nice rainy texture now. And that looks pretty good. And if you ever want to go back to the previous build mode, you can always click on the Quit Media mode to come back to your project settings. And of course, if you want to go back to your view settings, you can always come back to the media panel and click on the images that you want to play with. But I think our setup is pretty good, and why don't we go over to finish off our presenter. So once you have your views and videos ready, you can go ahead and start adding some media by clicking on this button. We will add these two from the images and head over to video and slide this into our slideshow. And once that is ready, we are ready to export our presenter file. And you can rearrange the order by dragging and dropping your images and videos. And as with all export options, come all the way down to the last option on our bottom panel and load up the assets that you want to export. So for us, we're going to leave images and videos blank and only export our presenter file. Once you click on Start Export, Twinmotion will ask you to choose your save location. Once you hit Enter, Twinmotion will start exporting your images and presenter file. We will give that a second and come back when export process is over. Alright, so here is our final result. I ended up tweaking the model just a little bit around, but feel free to do that with your own file as well. As you can see, we're presented with beautiful images, as well as a presenter file just like this one. So what's really cool about presenter file is that Twinmotion presenter file enables you to share individual project in a standalone viewer as a lightweight packaged executable. So what that means is basically you can create a presentation with multiple points of views and camera paths and give the viewers the ability to explore at will, all without having Twinmotion installed. So if you go to the directory where you've saved your presenter file, you'll see that there's a folder, and within it there are 5 files just like this one. And you can share this entire folder with someone who doesn't even have Twinmotion, and when they open it, they will be presented with a sequence of views and animations that you have set up previously. So let's check it out. I've just double clicked on that little icon, and with its splash screen that reads presenter will pop up. And if we give it just a few moments, you'll be presented with a couple information to quickly navigate around your scene, as well as follow the predetermined sequence that you've set up previously. So as you can see on the bottom side, on the bottom row, you can see the set of images that we have selected, as well as this play button. And once you click it, it'll cycle through the views and animations that you have set up, just like that. Here is our second view, as well as quickly made animation just like that. Just stunning for the amount of work that went into it. This is amazing. Now, if you want to learn more about creating different animations and populating your scene with people, make sure to stay tuned because our future videos will cover those topics. Now, coming back to presenter file, what's really cool is that you can pause at any point and start exploring your file just like that, and look around. And also, if you have a VR machine, you're also able to walk around the scene using your VR goggles, so make sure to give it a shot if you own one. And now you can enjoy the full glory of detailed Twinmotion's models, and always jump back to predetermined sequence just like that. So after I finished recording that previous video, I played around a little bit more with the settings and added more trees with different seasons and more boats in the ocean. So there's so much potential to play around with Twinmotion, so make sure to give it a shot with your own file and tell us what you find out. And again, Twinmotion Professional is available for free for Rhino users. Twinmotion also provides free unlimited trials, so make sure to check out the link in the description if you haven't already. So what did you think? Did you like our tips and tricks? Or do you have better ones? Let us know in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. In our future videos, we're going to be covering killer tips and tricks like creating animations in Twinmotion, taking advantage of massive Megascan library for free. So make sure to tune in and I'll see you in the next video.